This kid has no legs but can cross you up and drain three-pointers. This is JoJo, and he's not the only remarkable player we need to talk about. Consider this kid who dominates high school basketball despite having no hands or feet. A professional player with dwarfism who can easily break your ankles. Or a 7'5", 15-year-old girl who dropped 62 points in her championship game. And that's just a glimpse of the 12 unbelievable players I want to introduce you to. Let's start with a basketball player who has no arms. When Jamaron Styles was born, he caught a rare infection that caused him to lose most of his arms. Growing up wasn't easy, especially because he dreamed of being a hooper, but even his friends doubted him. They'd start picking teams and I would be the only one left out. Then they'd just tell me to go home. You can break someone's heart like that, Jamaron recalls. But all that rejection only fueled his determination. By the time he was 12, he was so good that he made his middle school basketball team. Jamaron learned how to dribble, pass, and most importantly, shoot. On March 31, 2017, he got his shot to play in a game and nailed it. But this next player is making D1 basketball look easy because he's on his way to take over the NBA with only one hand. When Hansel Emmanuel was 6, he lost his left arm in a freak accident. But that didn't stop him from pursuing the sport he loved. With the help of his dad, a former professional basketball player, Hansel learned to hoop with only one arm. When his family moved to Florida, he got the opportunity to play in a real high school league, where he stunned everyone with one-arm crossovers, jump shots from anywhere on the court, and dunks on other players' heads. It was unbelievable, and the world agreed. He turned into a star overnight, gaining 1.6 million Instagram followers. After 3 years of high school basketball, Hansel received a D1 scholarship to play for Northwestern State University. On December 10, 2022, he scored his first college points. Hansel now has his eyes set on the NBA, where he could become the first one-armed player to ever make the league. He doesn't want people to see him as the guy with one hand. He wants to play in the NBA. He has no fear on the court. I believe he can do that, said one observer. Now, what if I told you there's a 7'0", 400 pounds monster playing college basketball? Meet Connor Williams, aka Big Coach, who plays for St. John Fisher University in New York. Despite his massive build, the kid can hoop. He can make passes, bully other players in the key, and sink three-pointers. In his first game in 2021, he instantly went viral with a spectacular play. And the big guy, Williams, hits the three, exclaimed a commentator during the game. Despite rolling his ankle, he made a nice pass for a dunk and a foul, showing his versatility and skill. Since then, life has only been uphill for Connor. He has 45,000 Instagram followers, he's still hooping, and he even has his own trading card. This man is living large. But there's a team from New York that doesn't care about size. I'm talking about the greatest team in Wharf basketball history. In New York, there's a basketball team for adults with an average player height of 4'0" called the New York Towers, and their team is stacked. They have lightning-quick point guard Justin Tompkins, sharpshooter John Hortman, and their starting big man, 4'5" Blaze Foster. The Towers have won 3 straight Dwarf Basketball Association titles, making them the Chicago Bulls of little people basketball. It's no surprise they're so good, especially with their star player, Many Love, a 4'5" dynamo who had Division II college offers and made grown men look silly. He signed with the Harlem Globetrotters, making him the smallest person to ever play professional basketball. I'm one of the best basketball players in the world, he says proudly. That man right there is the GOAT of dwarf basketball. But something remarkable is happening in China, where a young girl is dominating the court. This is Jiang Zhu, a 7'5" beast who is only 15 years old. She's been destroying Chinese basketball, making it look like she's playing on a kid's hoop. She's over 2 feet taller than all of her opponents, So when she goes to shoot, no one can even come close to blocking her. Even if she misses, she easily gets her own rebound until she scores. Jane has been averaging 35 points per game and once dropped 62 points in her league's finals. Yeah, that girl is a cheat code. Next, let's talk about Darnell Rogers, the smallest player in D1 history, who is absolutely terrorizing the league. This dude is a 5'2", 150-pound point guard, and while someone of his stature might normally struggle, Darnell is different. In high school, he realized that his height gave him unique advantages, like making passes the defense couldn't reach and using his low center of gravity to get steals. His dribbles were so low that no one could take the ball from him. Darnell made his opponents look silly, scoring multiple 40-point games and leading his high school to back-to-back championships. UMBC offered him a spot as their starting point guard, and he not only led the team in scoring but also became the shortest player in D1 basketball history, averaging 9.3 points per game. When you see opponents on the court for the first time, how do they react? A reporter asked. Darnell replied, "They've got to guard me just like I have to guard them. It's going to be a tough matchup for them because I'm fast and quick and can do everything." This man gets buckets. Look at him, 5'2", and scoring off the backboard. He's averaging 14 points a night. But there's more. Like JoJo, who, despite having no legs, can cross people up. And he's not the only one who can hoop without legs. This is Josiah, and his shot is so good he can hit buzzer beaters like this. We'll get to all that and more. But first, let's talk about our sponsor, Game Time, the cheapest and safest way to get sports tickets. If you find cheaper tickets than Game Time, they'll literally give you 110% of the difference. Game Time offers tickets for sports, music, comedy, and more. If you're worried about getting bad seats because of how cheap the tickets are, don't be. Game Time has the best feature ever. You can check the view from any seat in the venue, ensuring you get the best seats for the best prices with no hidden fees. Game Time is famous for having the best last-minute tickets out there, and since they also offer the cheapest tickets possible, it's a no-brainer. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code REBOUND for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code REBOUND for $20 off. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. Now, let's talk about the Michael Jordan of wheelchair basketball. When Patrick Anderson was a kid, he loved hockey, hanging out with his friends, and playing sports. But at 9 years old, something horrifying happened. I was hit by a car and I lost both my legs below the knees, Patrick recalls. In losing my legs, I lost my independence. I lost sports. I lost hockey. It was a really hard time. Patrick hit rock bottom. His dreams of ever playing sports seemed shattered. But just a year after the accident, Patrick was introduced to wheelchair basketball, and he immediately fell in love. "I remember that day vividly," Patrick says. "I saw basketballs lying on the court and a mini basketball hoop. I leaned over in my wheelchair, picked up a basketball, put it on my lap, wheeled over to the basket, and took a shot. I was hooked." After 10 years of practicing and competing in local leagues, Patrick got so good that the University of Illinois, one of the best wheelchair basketball schools in the world, offered him a scholarship. There, he became a star. After 4 years, Patrick set his sights on something bigger: the Canadian national team. In 2000, they offered him a starting spot to compete in the Olympics. Patrick knew he wasn't going to waste the opportunity of a lifetime. Over the next few years, he balled out, dropping crazy passes, hitting threes, and averaging a ridiculous 21 points per game. That's more points than Kobe, LeBron, or MJ averaged in any Olympics. Patrick continued to dominate his entire career, winning gold medals in 2000, 2004 and 2012, and becoming the greatest wheelchair basketball player of all time. But we can't forget about the player with no hands and no feet. This is Landis Sims. Born without fully formed limbs, people told him that being an athlete was impossible. But Landis didn't listen. He wanted to play basketball, so he got prosthetic legs, learned to catch with no hands, and after years of practicing, figured out a way to shoot so well that he made his high school's basketball team. However, it was obvious he wasn't going to make it to the NBA, so Landis decided to play baseball. He got so good that the San Diego Padres signed him to a one-day contract. "I'm excited to have you here with us," said a team representative. "I know you have a special relationship with Joe Musgrove. He said you're a pretty good pitcher. We could use a little help with pitching, so we'd love to sign you to a contract here with the Padres."